This episode of the Kill Innovations podcast is brought to you by listeners like you. You can become a supporter by visiting shop.philmckinney.com and making a contribution. Your support helps defray the cost to produce, host, and stream the show. As always, any profits are donated to charities such as hackingautism.org. I'm Phil McKinney, and welcome to Season 11 of the Kill Innovations podcast, a show about ideas, creativity, and innovation. Creativity is usually associated with open spaces, uninhibited freedom, and a lack of anything to stifle expression. However, sometimes it can be beneficial, even essential, to build walls, make rules, impose constraints on ourselves in order to get our creativity flowing. The fact is that unlimited options are very difficult to contend with. They keep us staring at that proverbial blank page. Our minds need some kind of guidance. If there are no rules or restrictions in place, it's hard to begin the creative process, and even more difficult to remain focused or on the purpose and the goal. Most creative endeavors have limitations imposed upon them. If you're an engineer working on a new product, you have directives including purpose, your target market, the materials to be used, its total cost to manufacture, its size, among many others. When writing a story, you may have length or style restrictions to contend with. There's hardly a real-life example of creation that exists without some kind of constraint. In my experience, I found that using constraint-based innovation was the only way to transform an organization. Without constraints, individual teams fall back on the what worked in the past kind of mode. Typically, a team would propose to achieve an objective with a set of resources required, such as, hey, we need 25 people for 2 years and $5 million. As I look back on all the products that I've ever been involved with, the teams that got 100% of what they asked for rarely, actually never, delivered a breakthrough product. In a constraint-based innovation approach, I listen to their proposal as to the resources they would need. I then kind of go off and think like I'm contemplating their request, and then I come back to the team and I tell them, hey, sorry, but I couldn't come up with the resources requested. Then I would tell them that, hey, given the resources we could come up with, we needed to achieve the objective, though, with just 9 people. Not 2 years, but we need it in 14 months. And wow, the most I can scrape together is about $2 million. I would typically get the, oh my gosh, that's impossible response. But the team would go off and realize that they needed to throw out the old playbook and come up with a whole new way to achieve the objective. In my experience, these are the teams that produced true game-changing innovations. Face it, we all have romantic visions of uninhibited artists and inventors simply throwing whatever comes to them onto their chosen canvas. But that kind of raw creativity can rarely be sustained. In order to harness your creative energy and abilities, constraining the options gives you a sense of direction, gives you a sense of purpose that can fuel the momentum and open up new creative possibilities you wouldn't have thought of otherwise. Noah Salin is an artist who created the widely successful daily art project called A Skull a Day for a Year. Yes, he created a unique piece of artwork using drawing, sculpture, painting, and any other media he had around to create a representation of a human skull. Each day, he challenged himself to create a skull that had to be unique and created within his free time during a 24-hour period. Now, those are some pretty tough guidelines. He couldn't sit back waiting for inspiration to strike. He was forced to constantly seek out new materials and ideas to fill up his blank page. The results speak to the power of creative production within rigid guidelines. While it started off as a personal daily art project, it quickly went on to become an international community of skull fans. Yes, there are such things as skull fans sharing their art. Another example is the famous challenge that Hemingway and his friends had. They challenged themselves to create an entire short story using only 6 words. One of the best outcomes from this challenge was, quote, "For sale. Baby shoes. Never worn." Acts of creation without limitation exist in reality only in the most extreme cases. Inventors don't generally wake up one day and say, "Hey, I'm going to invent something today." They look around at what there is, what needs improving, what problems exist, and what resources do they have available. Anyone can come up with a random, fantastical idea without direction or purpose. Imposing criteria is a more effective way to stimulating creativity and can spark true innovation. If you enjoyed today's show, you can subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, YouTube, Spreaker, or wherever you find your favorite podcast. You can find all the links and resources from this episode, along with every other episode going back to 2005 at philmckinney.com. Just click on podcast. I would love to hear your feedback, such as your thoughts on the new format for the show, topics you would like covered, or any questions you might have. Ping me on Twitter at Phil McKinney, all one word, or on LinkedIn or Facebook. You can find links to where I hang out on social media at philmckinney.com. And as always, thanks for listening.